Welcome to the start of my F1 22 My Team career mode and the birth of Gullis Racing. What you're seeing on screen right now is all the details that are going to be going into this My Team career. Starting off with our title sponsor, and of course, we're going to go with the sponsor that gives us the biggest signing bonus. It's going to be about 15 constructors points over the season. I reckon we can do that. On the engine side, we were considering going for the Ferrari one. It's much better on power and durability, but we wanted to sacrifice that for the driver because look who is here. Oscar Piastri. I had a little look through the rest of the drivers, but there was no doubt in my mind Oscar Piastri was the driver that we're going to select. 72 rating for a rookie. Yes, please get in my team. So, of course, Oscar Piastri in the team, Mercedes power unit in the back of the car, and 4.6 million to start us off with. We are starting as well as a newcomer at the back of the field, and Arava is working on the engine, so expect a fair few engine failures across the season if he isn't fired by the start of the season. As you can see, the car is under wraps. We've got the HG for the Gullis Racing logo in the backdrop that we need to work on. We'll get that sorted over the course of the season. But let's have a look at the livery and what we're going to be running with for this first season. As you probably see, the sort of mustard yellow is the prime colour of this channel. So we're going for the banana car in Season 1. A little bit of black and white detailing on the car. But for a first livery, you know, we're happy with that. We are going to be very excited moving forward. Looking at how our team stacks up amongst the others, we're in between McLaren, you got Aston Martin and Williams are just above those guys, but you can see there that the chassis and the aerodynamics is the part of the car that is struggling the most. So we're going to be upgrading that using the chassis first. We've actually got spec 1 on the chassis building whatever facilities, so we can actually do 2 upgrades there. We're going to do 1 upgrade on the aerodynamics as well. So without any further ado, let's move over to Bahrain. Let's get into some on-track action because I know that's what you guys want to see, and getting on with the track acclimatization. Practice programs have had a little bit of a revamp this year, although track acclimatization is fairly similar to what it has been in previous seasons. And there you go, getting the highest amount of resource points possible for that challenge. Didn't quite tick off all 3 of the mini challenges, but that's okay. We're moved with that. And on the tyre management, we were green right up until the last possible moment it got into the purple, and again maximizing the amount of resource points we can get from that one. And then moving into the race strategy in FP2, as you can see, we were slightly faster than our teammate, but we were on better tyres. And yeah, moving into the race management one in FP2, as you can see, the sun is setting now, following our best mate Zhou Guan Yu, and there we go, getting the maximum amount of resource points once again in the practice program. So a good start to the season for Gullis Racing. That's going to really help us improve this car further in the coming races. But for now, let's head over to the qualifying session and see if we can get this car into Q2. Going into this race weekend, McLaren did actually jump us in the R&D, so they're actually slightly quicker than our car, but we'll be looking to see if we can maybe fight with those as the session goes on. Our first lap is okay. It's a 31. It puts us for 18th, better than Magnussen, better than Yuki Tsunoda and a few other drivers as well. So we go on to our second lap on the same set of tyres that we set our first lap on, coming through the final corner once again. 3/10 improvement, this time a 31.1. Still only good enough though for 20th position, but we stuck on a brand new shiny fresh pair of tyres and we're absolutely rapid in the first part of the track. Lost about a 1/10 of a second there as we lose the back end through the right hander into the final corner though, and as you can see, we gained so much time through this last corner. Foot to the floor, right down to the line. Is it going to be enough to get us through into Q2? And I don't think it was. I think we did beat our teammate, which we do, P18 in the first qualifying session of the season, but unfortunately just not good enough to break into that Q2. Missing out by, look at that, like 1/10 of a second, which we lost through that right hander. Would have been enough to get us through to Q2, which is really rather frustrating. But now moving on to the race for the first time this season, the Bahrain Grand Prix. And we'll be looking to get ourselves off to a flying start, of course. We are going to be starting down in P18, but I believe a couple of penalties for Esteban Ocon and Yuki Tsunoda in qualifying are going to promote us back up through the field. But there it is, the Bahrain circuit that awaits us. A couple of great overtaking opportunities, notably down into turn 1, 4, down to turn 11 potentially as well, and of course the final corner too. So plenty of room to maybe stick one up the inside, but we're going to be trying to get off to the best possible start we can as we're lining up on the grid. There is Fernando Alonso. He's qualified in P8 for the Alpine teams. He's just checking that he does actually have hands, and yes, he does. And there we are in the beautiful mustard yellow as I give the camera a wave. 66 car, and this is going to be the race strategy for today. Hard tyres to start with before going on to the softs at the end to really try and attack if there is maybe a late safety car. We're not expecting miracles, but if there's a late safety car or on the soft tyres, who knows, maybe we can work our way into a points position as we start the formation lap. And we can now confirm that Esteban Ocon and Yuki Tsunoda will be starting 21st and 22nd, so we've been promoted to 17th and 18th. Before we get into the race, did you know that 94% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel? So if you want to see more F1 22 content, hit that subscribe button. Back to the race then, and lining up in our grid box, we get the green. It's not quite perfect, but we will take it. We don't get pushed back, so we are very happy with that. But we need to make sure we nail the start because we can gain a lot of positions down in towards turn 1. It's lights on, engines revving, and we are racing here in Bahrain for the first time of the F1 22 My Team career mode, and it is an impeccable start compared to Sebastian Vettel on the right hand side. We're going to get boxed on a little bit there by the other Aston Martin of Lance Stroll, but now going the long way round through turn 1. Our favoured actual line through that corner, if you remember from F1 2021, we love it around the outside of that first corner. Get the inside of turn 2, still wheel to wheel with Lance Stroll, and now having a little look on Lando Norris, who goes very defensive on the inside into the right hand. He might get all tangled up with his teammate. I don't think he did there, but we are going to go right around the outside of Norris. We lose the back end just a little bit. That's going to keep it wheel to wheel with the McLaren driver as he still holds it right around the outside. Great side-by-side action between myself and the McLaren at the moment. He's going to go up the inside into that hairpin, and just the traction that these guys have got off the medium tyres. You can see I'm really struggling with tyre temperature at this stage of the race. Got a yellow flag as Valtteri Bottas goes off. I think Kevin Magnussen also went a bit too deep into the left-hand. It's a very tricky corner of turns 9 and 10. But here we go, watching on board now a replay of what happened to Valtteri Bottas. He's having a great battle right now with Lewis Hamilton. Goes around the outside through turn 9 and turn 10. Just gets caught on the curb there and just kind of grinds along it. Of course, these cars are so low to the ground this season that if you get caught on the curb, your car is just going to bottom out. You're going to get stuck. You're going to grind on that curb, and you have literally no steering whatsoever as Esteban Ocon overtakes me once again. Look at the traction that these guys have got on the medium tyres. They're so fast, so much faster than myself on the hard, which is going to be really painful at the start of this race. But as their tyres start to degrade, that's when we're going to be coming back and attacking them once again. And of course, we're going to be on the soft tyres at the end as we let through our teammate there. He's just so much quicker. There's no need to hold him up and potentially hurt his race, because if we can maybe get a points finish with him or points finish with me, then that would be absolutely amazing. Lando Norris comes into the pits as Nicholas Latifi, go Tifi, is overtaking me down towards turn 1, and look at that, nothing I can really do. Can't brake later than him. So much more grip does that Williams have at this stage of the race on those medium tyres. Get another replay now. We get to see what happened to Lando Norris and why he is boxing so early into this race. And he did maybe tangle with his teammate on the inside. Yes, he did. A little knock on the rear right of Daniel Ricciardo. I think that broke his front wing just a little bit, and that is why he is into the pit lane. Now we move on to the start of lap 4. Valtteri Bottas has caught up to the back of us. He's going to go for a very easy overtake on our Gullis Racing car, and Valtteri Bottas moves himself up into P19. I'm not too worried about fighting him at this stage of the race. I probably could have put up a bit more of a defense, maybe pushed him over a bit more to the right hand side, but why sacrifice our race at this stage when we know we're going to be quicker at the end? And that is what we're thinking about at the moment. So yellow flags come out going into the final corner. Esteban Ocon has been caught up somewhere there, so he's dropped down into P19 once again. And that is causing an almighty battle between Nicholas Latifi, Valtteri Bottas, and Esteban Ocon as well. As we're watching what is going on between Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc at this stage of the race. So Charles Leclerc up the inside in towards turn 1. Sergio Perez, though, holding it around the outside. Look at that. The outside line at turn 1, I tell you, is the best line here in Bahrain. But now Charles Leclerc having another attempt using the DRS, going up the inside into turn 4. And he's going to get the job done. But was there contact there? there between Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc moves into the lead of this Bahrain Grand Prix. Ferrari back on top. It's a Red Bull 2-3 at the moment, but is Sergio Perez holding up his teammate? He's losing quite a bit of time at the moment to Charles Leclerc, suggesting that he does indeed have some front wing damage on the car, and confirmation at the end of the lap. There we go, Sergio Perez coming into the pits and taking his first pit stop, going on to a set of soft tyres to really attack at this stage of the race. This, of course, is great news for me because we're down in P20 at the moment. We should be able to jump Sergio Perez as he's in the pit lane. The bad news is, though, he's probably going to overtake us very quickly on those soft tyres. I mean, that Red Bull, the Red Bull and the Ferrari in the career mode is they're just absolutely rapid. Very much how Mercedes were in recent seasons. We kind of head now to lap 9 of this race. Checo's only 2 seconds behind us at the moment, but we're now on the back of Nicholas Latifi after he was having a bit of a battle with Esteban Ocon. That really allowed him to be dragged back to where we are in this race. Going to go on the attack of Nicholas Latifi now, right around the outside. Like I said, preferred line, round the outside through turn 1, get the inside for turn 2. We still hold it wheel to wheel, but we get better traction off of the corner, and there we go, moving ourselves up into P17. So we lost quite a few positions at the start of this race, but now we're going to be hopefully gaining them once again. There's a little bit of debris there on the exit of turn 1. Looked like a Williams front wing as we're watching a replay now of Pierre Gasly fighting with Alexander Albon. Albon tries to go around the outside, tries my line, but instead of going around the outside the long way, tried to cut back maybe a little bit too early, knocks his front wing on Gasly's car, and that means that he is going to be coming into the pits, which he does here on lap 13, which moves us into 16th position in this race. Looks like everybody else decides to come into the pits as well. Yuki Tsunoda, Sebastian Vettel, we've got Ricciardo, Zhou, Alonso, Schumacher all into the pit lane, which means we are promoted up into P9. Piastri and Ocon and Stroll also coming into the pits here on lap 15 of the Bahrain Grand Prix. So we are now somehow in this race up into P6. Okay, yes, we still have to make a pit stop later on in a fair few laps, but for now we are going to enjoy being in a high position in the race. P6, very happy with that. As you can see, tyre wear 55% on the front left, 61% on the rear left, so really struggling with tyre wear. So now is a good time to come into the pits. We get a car stop before the speed limiter. No penalties there for us as we come into our pit box. Of course, we are running these immersive pit stops, so we're going to need to time this right within the last 0.5 of a second, which we have done there, and that is going to give us the best chance of a good pit stop. 2.3 seconds on the pit stop, so very happy with that. But where will we come out in the proceedings, as we can see that Sergio Perez is going on the attack of Oscar Piastri down into turn 1. There we are on the right-hand side. Oh, that was close between the three of us. I'm glad that we're not wheel to wheel, because the tyre temps that I've got right now, look at that, stone cold at this stage of the race. Really struggling as now we get our tyres thankfully up to temperature 1 lap later, and going on the attack of Oscar Piastri, also setting the fastest sector 3 of the race so far. We are absolutely rapid at this stage of the race, and we're moving ourselves up into P14 if we can get past our teammate. I do kind of wish that team orders were a thing in this game, because it would just mean overtaking Piastri would be a little bit easier, wouldn't lose so much time in overtaking him. And Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon having a little fight down towards the final corner. This is going to give me a great chance to be right on the tail of these two drivers. Perez, of course, in the Red Bull, Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. We set the fastest lap of the race so far. Perez on the right-hand side, Ocon on the left. No need to try and fight these guys at the moment. We're going to try and pick up the pieces down in towards turn 1, but then Esteban Ocon just goes so slow through turn 1, and that allows us probably the easiest overtake we have done so far today, moving ourselves up into P13. Sergio Perez, though, still in 12th place, now attacking, being really aggressive against Lance Stroll. Now, we don't want Sergio Perez to get past these drivers very quickly, because if this is a battle for the final points position in the race. So if he gets past Daniel Ricciardo, the points today are gone as they kind of tangle a little bit with each other through the final corner. We did have a little bit of contact there with Sergio Perez just on the front nose. We do check the vehicle condition. Luckily, Mark says it's all okay, our new race engineer for the F1 22 game. A little bit of a chip, I think, on the front nose, but all is okay for the time being. But Sergio Perez does overtake Lance Stroll down in towards the first corner. And unfortunately, Stroll, there's nothing that he has to fight back with. So now we need to get past Lance as soon as we possibly can, just to try and keep the pressure on Sergio Perez. If maybe he tangles with Daniel Ricciardo, we could be there to pick up the pieces, heading down to the tricky turn 9, turn 10, and Lance Stroll just gets it all wrong. And I said the easiest overtake of the day was on Esteban Ocon. Now it's gone to his best buddy, Lance Stroll. So now up into P12 in this race. Sergio Perez now attacking Daniel Ricciardo down into the final corner, hoping for a little bit of contact between the two drivers, but Sergio Perez, fantastic overtake right around the outside, and that moves him up, unfortunately for ourselves, up into the points paying position. But we're now racing for pride. We want to try and get that P11 and beat the McLaren team. They're the team that's slightly ahead of us in the R&D right now as it stands in the My Team career mode. So if we can get past Daniel Ricciardo, move into that P11, be sort of like the best of the rest of the non-point scorers, that is a fantastic result in our first ever race in the My Team career mode for Gullis Racing. Right around the outside though, our preferred line down in towards turn 1, but Ricciardo comes back at us on power. He's got the inside line through turn 3 there, but he just can't do anything, and we get ourselves up into P11 as we're watching on board with George Russell having a fantastic race so far in P5, but it looks like there could be a problem for George Russell. Indeed there is. He is pulling over to the side of the track, which could mean that we score points on debut. There we are, arriving at the yellow flag area. George Russell over on the left-hand side. Look at that on the top left-hand corner of your screens. We have moved up into 10th position, but it is not over yet as Charles Leclerc is coming through the final corner now to take victory for the Ferrari team. Ferrari going to be very happy with that. A great start to the season for them. Max Verstappen comes home in second with Carlos Sainz finishing off the podium. Lewis Hamilton should finish in 4th position with Mick Schumacher, a fantastic P5, but it's not over for our race yet. Lance Stroll, look at him, he's all over the back of us at this stage of the race, the final lap, and he is wanting to try and take that final points paying position, but he gets it all wrong down into turn 9 and turn 10. How many times have we seen that today? And that takes all of the pressure off of us. We just need to now bring the car home with no technical issues through the final corner now, down to the line. It is points on debut for Gullis Racing and for myself. A fantastic result for us. The strategy paid off in the end. Whilst it looked like it was awful at the start of the race, it did pay off for us at the end there, and it means that we do finish the race in P10. Charles Leclerc is the race winner today, as I said, with Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz in second and third place, with Lewis Hamilton 4th, Schumacher in 5th, Gasly 6th, Alonso 7th, Zhou Guanyu in 8th, and Sergio Perez getting P9. As it stands in the Drivers' Championship, it's exactly the same as it was in the race results. So the Constructors' standings, Gullis Racing is now in P8. But that's going to do for the first episode of the My Team Career Mode. Join me next time. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you then.